Hello there, Usha Pandit, the Mind Springs English teacher. You know, when I observe oral classes, first of all, they are few and far between. Nobody does oral classes because the board exam doesn't expect any oral work. They don't have a Viva exam, and so nobody is really thinking about orals. But then orals is what you need. Why? Because when you go for that interview or a group discussion or you need to talk to someone in a meeting, you need oral skills. When they don't get jobs, that is when young people start realizing, oops, oral skills. If you don't talk English, you don't get a job. Now you might say that is so anti-national. It's possible, but it's a reality that you can't beat. The exams all the way after the 12th are in English and the 12th are in English, right? So it's not like you can escape English. All your competitive interviews are in English. So therefore, English oral skills are critical. Even if they don't have an exam up there that is testing oral skills, every school that is worth its salt, every teacher who is calls herself or himself responsible must make sure that children communicate well, because that's the key. That's the key to being the front runner in any race. So therefore, and even if you are not racing, you still need it. So therefore, I think it's worth putting in a little effort into oral fluency. Today I am going to talk about it. I am going to talk to you about a few strategies on how to create oral programs. When I observe classes, I find they don't know what to do in the oral class. It's random, ad hoc, it's children talking and the teacher not knowing whether to correct them, not correct them, whether she has achieved something or not achieved something, because there is no syllabus, there is no book, there is no method. Even to say there is a bad method or a bad or not so efficient strategy, we don't have it. So there is nothing to fall back on. So we have to look at oral skills very seriously. As a consultant to schools, I always feel I don't offer enough of that skill to schools. So I am planning to offer academic consultations to principals, heads of schools, your management, chairs, people like that who make decisions, so that if they want to improve the quality of their schools, they know where to go. So I am offering you a 15-minute free consultation, and then you can decide whether you want to go the whole hog. But it's worth doing it because we seem to be running around in a rut talking about problems without solutions, or we seem to be saying we should do this, we should do that. Or we seem to be thinking that it will take time, you know, we are a big country, it will take, these are excuses. I am offering you solutions that are quick, that are instant, that will show you results in the first class that you do, that are child-centered, that make the teacher's job not just enjoyable but easier, because what we are doing now is highly wasteful. If a child can speak well, half the battle is won. So let's look at oral fluency, what I have for you. So the first one that I have is, let's look at something like the simple present tense. You know where it's sitting? It's sitting in your daily habits and routine. That's a simple present tense. So what do? I get up, I have a bath, I go to school, I pack my bag, they are all present tense, isn't it? There is absolutely no reason why children cannot talk about their routines and habits using the present tense. I go to school, not I am going to school. I pack my bag, not I will pack my bag. These are common errors in children. They make tense errors like this for habits and routines. So it can be the routine of any person, doesn't have to be just the child's routine, it can be the father's routine, the mother's routine. It can be the daily routine in the school. What do you do when you walk in till the end of the day? So the sky is the limit. It doesn't have to be restricted to very tiny little conversations that are meant for grade 1. You can have it in any grade by just raising the standard of the conversation. So present tense, daily habits, that's the first one. If you try it, you will see it's very easy. And if children have to say every day, every week, every year, there you are. In a higher class, I would say every year I resolve to. Now I have taken the standard up. Not every day I brush my teeth, but every year I resolve to wake up earlier in the morning than I do now. See, now that's structure. Good structure. So there is no reason why we cannot polish language as we get into talking about habits. The second one is the use of the present continuous tense. Now this I am going, I will be going, etc. This present continuous tense you can do in the lower classes with a composite picture. So you've got a picture of a park and you have children jumping and running. It's a perfect example of the present continuous, where the child says, I can see, there are, or I think the girl is going to. You can have several structures there that will help you to do the present continuous tense. So once you get your present continuous tense in order, you then go to the third one, you go to the future tense. The tenses get mixed up very badly by children and they end up sounding colloquial. They make the wrong sentences. These can be avoided if these tenses are practiced by some actual use of the language, like I said to you, like a composite picture. The composite pictures can become more and more complicated. It doesn't have to be a grade 1 picture of a park. It can be a picture of an accident. It can be a picture of a railway station. You can imagine things about what each of, you can create characters in that railway station. You can say, I can see Mr. Rao walking on the, he is thinking about committing suicide, can't I? See, now why would you want your grade 12 to be constantly doing he is walking near the train? No, he could be thinking of something really terrible, isn't it? And that might make it very, very interesting for students to engage with that picture. So future tense is you will have the words like tomorrow or during the holidays. These are making plans and people love making plans. Or for the teacher's birthday, we will. For Mother's Day, we will. These are, or we will go to that restaurant because I heard that it's got amazing chow mein. So you can bring in your adjectives, adverbs. So it doesn't have to sit in the bare bones of future tense. It can move into adjectives, adverbs, descriptions and be enriched as the children move up the ladder. Using would, should, could. This is an allergy that children have. Children don't use would, should, could. Have you noticed? First, you must learn to observe children. Very carefully listen to how they speak, where are the mistakes, what are they doing, which tenses are they mixing, and put it in your little black book. You will find that would, should, could are not their favorites. So that's something that I would definitely use by saying, It's Mother's Day. Should we buy? Now the best way to add should is to ask questions. Should we buy her a new mixie? Is a good structure. It's a holiday tomorrow. Should we go to? Or could we take the dog out for a walk? Or could we play chess? Or whatever. So you can have should, could, but not would for these questions. So if I were, I would is a structure that you can use very comfortably, and I would make children use it a lot. So if you ask them to imagine something weird, imagine that you were a superhero, imagine that you were on a micro level, you were a microbe. What would you do? Is a question, and then you will find children coming up with all kinds of creatures and life forms and having fun and doing the structure. If I were, I would. Speak on, the next one is speak on a topic for about 2 minutes. So it can be an event, a place, a situation, it can be any of these. And as I always said, ask the WH and how questions, and you will get lots of ideas to speak on a topic. Just use WH and how questions and you will get about 5-6 lines to speak for about a minute, and that's all you need for that task. So get a lot of great topics together which children can happily use and enjoy. The next one is use all the words in a grammatical, use words, any new word that you get, use it in all its grammatical contexts. What do I mean by that? I mean, you take a word like repeated. So I can say I repeated an answer. I can say I have repeatedly told you not to do it. I can say the repetition is really boring. Or I can say the answer that she gave was repetitive. So I have used 4 forms of the word repeat. Instead of just saying repeat means to say again and taking a dictionary, writing its meaning, that's not the way to encourage children to expand language. You can expand language grammatically and you can expand language in a field. So you will again find all these things in my book, Writing with Ease. A lot of oral work is done in my book, Language with Ease. It goes from grade 1 to grade 7. Those are books that you must invest in and teach in your school if you want a formidable vocabulary for your children. Describe a person. So you are going height, weight, clothes, looks, manner, etc. And you can add adjectives and adverbs and similes and analogies and what have you. You can take it up to the skies, or you can do something like Peter is like an armchair. Once he sits down, he never gets up, and even if you sit on him, he will not know the difference. So you might bring in some humor into it if they are older children. So there is no reason why this cannot be done. This has to be done at a very primal level of describing a human being. You need to look at phrase chunks. Now you know what phrase chunks are. Phrase chunks are chunks of phrases. They can be idiomatic expressions, they can be phrasal verbs, but they all kind of go together. So if I say I am feeling under the weather, it's better than saying I am feeling sick or I am feeling ill or I am not well. You know, I am feeling under the weather has got a certain ring, and if you say it many times, it becomes theirs. Now, if I were to use this in class, I would use it periodically here and there, spaced revisits. So if I look at a child one day, I might say, you look under the weather. Are you feeling okay? I might do this. So it reinforces incidentally what you want them to learn. Or you might say, I don't think we are on the same page. I don't think we see eye to eye on this. I'm sorry, I disagree. I don't like what you're saying is colloquial. I disagree is okay, but if I say I don't see eye to eye, we don't see eye to eye, I think that has a greater sophistication, right? Or back to square one, it's a piece of cake. You can also use phrases like to be honest, or according to the experts, or at the end of the day. These are all starters, and then you continue to say what you want to say. These can be practiced. The next one is to talk about certain familiar ideas like food and family and fun, and again you can use your WH and how questions to get more ideas on it, right? If you are an bigger, higher grade, then you don't talk about simple things. You talk about fun, food and family as cultural items, or talk about the psychology of these topics, or talk about the way in which various kinds of races have interpreted these ideas. Like what is fun for a tribal person may not be a lot of fun for a socialite. You know what I am saying? So therefore you will get a more sophisticated turn of topic when you do that. So there you go. We are also looking at the last one is to give a compliment to somebody. That's always nice, and you make friends. And if you say that's a magnificent dress you're wearing, you look radiant today, I love your handwriting, it's so beautiful, your daughter is such a cute girl. Now you can say simple things like that. As you go higher, you can get into a more analytical mode, and you can talk about how the person's writing has moved you and how you were influenced by something that was said, and you can quote that. So the compliments also can move into a more sophisticated place as you go into your higher grades, like your 10th, 11th, 12th. You don't keep it as basic compliments like, oh, how amazing, how awesome. This is what people do. You don't do that. You find great adjectives, you find great adverbs to go with them, but you also get into a more sophisticated way of communicating your appreciation of other people. So I've given you so many tips on what to do in your oral classes. This was just a sampler of what you get when you consult. So get that free consultation and let's see where we go from there. Meanwhile, buy the books Language with Ease, use them in your schools. They are so much better than any grammar book that you can imagine, and children will shine. So till we meet again, keep smiling.